Wow, I've been on mute this entire time. Why didn't anybody tell me? Okay, so let's start that over. I believe I'm not on mute anymore. I am recording. I am live. Check 1, 2. Raise your hand if you can hear me in the chat. Um, hopefully I'm live. Got a new microphone, which is why I'm a little. Whoops, is this working? It is working. Okay. I promise the next show will be more organized. I have a whole new setup here, so tweaking, getting everything ready. All right, let's start over from the top. Welcome to the first live of 2025 Tech for Work, where I discuss the things that I found interesting in the tech and business world this week. My name is Jesse Nolan. I'm your host and the founder of Tab Geeks. Going to be an absolutely enormous show this week, given that I stopped doing live shows about 3 weeks ago or so, and a lot has happened. And as you can tell by my surroundings and my ramblings at the beginning here, and the fact that I was not dialed in on my features here, I redesigned the studio, as I talked about in my last show here, and it's been. Oh, I see Clay Archer. I see some other folks coming in. Awesome. So yeah, there's a lot going on. We have end of year stuff, news stuff, CES stuff, which I'm not really going to talk about much because the show is going to be long enough as it is. Ubiquiti dropped a whole bunch of new hardware and software this morning, so I'll talk a bit about that as well. And I'll be doing a separate video on my favorite things of CES because, quite frankly, there's just way too much to go through in a live video like this. Sadly, I'm not attending in person CES this year, but hopefully next year I'll be able to attend. They have a new creators program, which you can attend as a creator, which I would love to be able to do. It just didn't work out with some scheduling and family stuff going on here for this year. Okay, on to the studio tour. So behind me, you may recognize the where is it? Over there. There I am. I'm mirrored. Behind me right there, you may recognize from the Google Workspace recap days when I was doing that show. That was my background. That's actually a IKEA Kallax bookcase, which is on casters. So I would roll it behind my old desk, and it has lights on it, which are not currently on. And it had, more and more stuff on it over time. And eventually it just got so overloaded that I was like, I can't use this as a background anymore. This looks ridiculous. So I stopped using that and I moved it permanently up against the wall, which is why my background in the last several, since I started the show has just been pretty much the desk off to the side. Now, angle wise, I moved. I didn't move locations. I haven't moved houses or studios. I moved 90 degrees to the left. And the reason for this is because I wanted to be able to have multiple zones in the studio space here. It's just a 10 by 10 where I film all of this. And I wanted to be able to have it be a lot more versatile and allow me to be able to start filming faster and less setup and tear down every single time, because it was more of a temporary setup as opposed to, having cameras in specific places so that I can just sit down and start filming, similar to what I have here. Now, this is not the full background yet. Thank you, Thomas. He says, love the background, Jesse. Not the full finished background yet. I still have a bunch of other things to finish changing up. I've got the Ubiquiti test rack over here. You can see the toolless mini rack with all of my little Funko characters up on top of my YouTube play button. It's not the 100,000 or beyond YouTube play button. It's actually a YouTube lamp that YouTube sent me as part of the it was like a YouTube creators up and coming something or other program. I forget exactly what it was called. So high five to YouTube. Thanks for sending that out. And then directly below that is my main studio rack. And so that's where I've got all the goodies that run the house and the studio and my network. And my wife works on the other side of the wall that's now over there. And so she's a CTO, and it makes sure that that network is completely separate and continues on humming. So that she doesn't get mad at me for messing around with all the test equipment. DPC Technology, thanks for joining. Yes, I would love for that to be a 1 million subscriber button. I have a little bit of a ways to go. I did just cross 7,000 subscribers, but it's not growing that fast. So hopefully it'll get another major video this year that'll take off and go viral, just like some of my other ones did last year. And we can get to, that is 1 billion. You're right. I glanced over too quickly at the zeros there. So yeah, I guess that puts me above and beyond most of YouTube if I have 1 billion subscribers. That'd be nice. Anyway, this is very ADD making. I don't know how all the rest of the YouTubers do this, where they're watching the comments and responding to the comments while also trying to go through a script. I'm going to have to learn from some of my peers on how to do this better. But essentially, back to the studio setup, I'm actually going to reorient and pivot the rack, both my rack and the Ubiquiti rack, 90 degrees so that it's facing here. I've got some LEDs going in there so it'll look really cool with the lights off and doing studio lighting for filming and stuff. And I actually have some stuff to move out of the Ubiquiti rack because I got some new toys here, which I'll show you in a little bit, that are going to have to go in there. And I think I have a Pro 48 in there. I got to replace it with a 24 port, which I'll show off shortly. So that's behind me, and that is going to be, you can't really see here, but I've got a whole lot, like the heavy side of books for the business and technology books are over on behind me, so I'm gonna have to reorganize those so that they're more visible because I'm really proud of those. And yes, I have read every single one of them. Feel free to zoom in on this episode or any of the other episodes in the past if you want to see what the list is. I guess I should post a picture at some point, but I would be happy to talk about any of the books that are on there. And then on the top shelf is going to be, sorry, on this side, the top shelf is going to be like mementos, knickknacks. I've got YouTube mug, and where is it over there? I've got all the Google Innovators Program stuff, the Apple mug and badges and other stuff, cool things. I'm going to organize all of that. So redoing a studio is a lot of work. And I was like, I can totally do this in towards the end of the year in, a week or two or whatnot. And then things didn't really slow down this year. I don't know if anybody noticed in the past couple of years or in the past, usually towards the end of the year, things tend to slow down. People go on vacations. After Thanksgiving, it's kind of downhill, starts slowing. And then certainly between Christmas and New Year's, there's nothing going on, and things just seem to continue rocking and rolling. I went on vacation on the 18th, so for a couple of days there, and there were still things being released even while I was on vacation. I was like, you people have to stop. And then finally, this past week, I had some time to really put in the work and start moving things around. There are additional changes that I have to make. I've got the lights, sorry, on this side over here above the pack out. The pack out kit is going to be a separate video going through everything that's in there, and there is a lot of stuff in there. So I'll go through and give links to all of my favorite tools in there. But I got to move the lights over there because the lights are now glaring in my curved monitor here. So, and they don't really do any good except for looking pretty cool back there. So either I have to turn them off or move them around and accent them. Sammy says he hears me. Thank you. Welcome, Sammy. As a regular over there. So that's the this side of the studio. Behind me, I've got some crap that's on top of the bookcase there. That's my lightsaber from Disneyland. So that's probably going to go mounted up on the wall. And yes, it does light up and make all the cool sounds when you hit each other. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Get used to it. And basically just trying to have a better way to display and organize things so that I have a background that looks awesome. And then over on to my right, which is over on this way, is the window. The window is going to stay there, and I'm going to move what was behind me, which was the what's my table for all of the reviews videos that I do, where I take all of my pictures and I film all my unboxings and things at that table. So that's going to go up against the window, so that's easy. I can just roll that out. I've got a new mount that goes on that for my light, my camera, and it all just stays there, and really simple and straightforward. Also behind me is going to be, if you remember from most of my videos, I have, and I guess I should do like a full length studio tour explaining all of this stuff, but I have the cool tiles in the background, which are the white, funky, noise shaping, interesting looking tiles behind me on the wall. So they're not on the wall here, but I got the same tiles, but in black for this wall, and I'll do some cool LED stuff on that wall. And then I have even more tiles for the wall in front of me, because if you'll notice from any of my previous videos in the last 6 months or so, since I really started doing this seriously, there were not enough on the wall to cover the wall. So I was framed, and if I didn't crop myself in enough or the camera angle was off slightly, then you saw the borders of that in just a blank wall and it looked dumb. So I bought more tiles for that, so that wall is going to be covered. Right now it has a big gaping hole, which I can actually maybe, no, I can't show you. Oh, I can, because this new webcam I'm using is magnetic. So on the wall there's all this other crap in there in big gaping, in not what do you call it, big gaping hole in all of the tiles that are on the wall, and it looks like crap. And the reason that it looks like crap is because I tweeted that I got a telly, and no, I didn't turn British. That's a company that isn't quite business technology, but it's an interesting business in technology, where they basically said, hey, Roku and all the other companies make a crap load of money selling your data, and then you still have to buy the TV from them. What if we just gave you the TV for free? And I signed up an ungodly amount of time, long time ago. And they asked a really ridiculous amount of questions, which is the data that they're selling for the TV. But hey, a free 50 some odd inch TV, 4K, HDR, etc., showed up. So it's going in the studio. And so that's going to go where those panels are missing. And then I'll fill in the gaps behind all of those panels over there and do a full studio tour. And I'm trying to get the camera placement optimized over here and finish cleaning things up. So that's basically the studio. I'm still working on organizing everything. So, any of you that have organizational OCD expertise, please let me know. This is my absolute massive worst weak spot here. I suck at organizing things, and there's not a lot of videos about organizing, tech gear for a YouTube studio or things like that. So, I talked to some other YouTubers, and they're like, "Yeah, piles and boxes." And honestly, if I have any more piles and boxes, my wife is going to kill me and throw my camera out the window, and I won't be able to do this anymore. So less of that and more putting things away and organization systems. So I've been watching some YouTube videos going into that. And when I finish synthesizing everything into some kind of a method, I'll be sure to share that with all of you in case any of you are struggling with this as I am. It's very difficult. I have a lot of gear, and I only get more gear as the day goes on. Like I have, some new Ubiquiti stuff to show off over here. And I need a way to store and inventory all of it. And yes, of course, I could use asset tracking software, but where do I put it all? How do I organize it all? So I have a nice little new drawer unit. Yes, Thomas, I'm an IT hoarder. That is correct, and I'm proud of it because one day you will need to send a fax from a Nokia N57, and I will have that cable that will be able to do that, and then all of the cables to step up to USB-C from there. So the one day that I will need all of that gear in order to save the world or something in order to utilize my box of magical useless cables that I refuse to get rid of. So yes, I'm an IT hoarder. Um, what else was I talking about here? Right. So I have a drawer system set up and a new charging system set up that I'll also go into detail on. And that's been something that I wanted to do for a long time, is to be able to have a dedicated charging spot because everything I use needs to be charged. And I love rechargeable things. And I love the fact that we have finally gotten a relatively decent standard that isn't a crappy, flimsy, useless plug. Of course, I'm talking about micro USB. Now we have USB-C. It's actually waterproof on some devices, and it's a wonderful standard, except for the fact that as soon as it became a standard, they came up with 18 different ways to make it not standard anymore. Some cables are for data, some cables are for power, some cables are for both, but not enough power for the things that you actually want to do. Some cables have screens, some cables have, I don't know, retractable magnets, whatever. Like that, it's just, can we just make a standard? And yeah, I mean, progress is great. I love the fact that we can do more and more power through these cables and that we can have more and more data going through these cables, but it should just be something that companies agree on, and that just is impossible in the way that the world works. So well, that's pretty much it as far as the studio goes. 15 minutes or so of rambling. I guess the first 5 minutes were me forgetting that my microphone was muted and getting organized. Let's go into the past a little bit. In case you missed it, since I last did a live show here, I released my Chrome Enterprise video of my trip to New York City. Google was nice enough, thank you, Google, to fly me out to the Chrome Enterprise Summit and learn all about the updates to Chrome OS and Chrome Enterprise. I'll link that at the end of the video and in the show notes. And I had also a longtime friend of the channel, Christian Newman, on for a 2024 Google Workspace Year in Review video, where we went through some of the 341 Workspace updates. That's new features and updates that they rolled out to Google Workspace in the last year. It is a lot. It's more than ever, if I'm not mistaken. And it's hard to keep track of all of them, which is why I was doing my old show and why I'm doing this show as well. And we discussed our favorites on there. So if you want to know what our favorites were of the past year, I'll link to that, of course, at the end and down below. I also released my review of the Ubiquiti AI port, which I'll link to at the end of the video and in the show notes. And as I mentioned earlier, the YouTube channel passed 7,000 subscribers. So thank you to each and every one of you. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button now, wherever you're joining from, whether it's X or LinkedIn, or if you're listening to this after the fact on any of the podcast networks, Spotify, etc., Apple Podcasts, and so on. Please hit that subscribe button. 2024 was a banner year for me and the channel, doing over 1 million views for the first time ever. This year is going to be even more massive. I've got a bunch of conferences coming up. Google Next, of course, Google I/O. Hopefully Ubiquiti conference will be done not on a Jewish holiday, so I'll actually be able to attend this year, and a whole bunch of other things that are still in the works and in planning. So I just take a breather there and check to see if there were any comments on the other platforms that I'm not paying as much attention to. Looks like we're good over there. Thomas says totally true. I have my Commodore 64 as my background now. Yeah, so we like the the things that we have worked on for so long, for so much of our careers, and we like to hang on to stuff. So. All right, looks like we're good on the comments front. On to the news. Google closed out the year by announcing a literal conference amount of news around their new AI model, Gemini 2.0. And I have to tell you, this is a massive update. I've said it before, Google often likes to take a little while to get out of the gate and get up to speed these days. But once they get everything humming, they take off like a shot. With this announcement, we're seeing the results of a year of working towards that. Google basically invented this AI stuff with the invention of transformers, look it up, and self attention in a paper in 2017, which is the concept of computers being able to understand the context of a sentence and then turn around and predict the next words or word or words in its reply. Essentially, this is what made ChatGPT so famous. Now, of course, ChatGPT, say that 10 times fast, beat them to the gate, beat them to the punch in productizing it, and Google has been playing catch up ever since. Now, Google's new version of Gemini 2.0 is what's called fully multimodal, which you may have heard of before, means it can understand more than just words, but also images, audio, code, videos, etc. Now, it's designed to be able to interact with other Google products and the web and even complete tasks. And this is the key point here, is the fact that it's moving us towards the next level in this AI journey of becoming actual agents, what they're calling the agentic era, where AI becomes an agent and a whole hell of a lot more useful as an actual assistant instead of just some fifth grade sounding, sounding board, really. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the updates since much of it is developer focused, but if that is interesting to you, I will leave the link in the show notes. Just take away this: Gemini is about to get a lot smarter and a lot more capable and be in a lot more areas across Google Workspace and all of Google's different products. In addition, they also announced VO2, which is their video generative model. You may have heard of Sora from OpenAI, which is their video model. This blows Sora out of the water. Sora has, impressed the pants off of everybody. We were freaking out at how incredible this is, video generator, and Google's VO2 just comes and has a much more complex grasp or solid grasp of physics and how things should work. Water being one of those, how water should flow and how things should interact with each other. One of the big problems and indicators that a video model is AI, or a video that you are seeing is AI, is that the hands and legs start to blend into each other and you get issues with things moving through space where they shouldn't be, and it just looks very, very strange. And VO2 really fixes a lot of that. So if you're interested, look it up. There's a couple of videos which I'll link to in the show notes where somebody actually took the model of VO2 and they input the different things that they wanted it to generate, and they created clips and then edited those clips together as if those clips had been filmed individually and edited it into a short movie. And it actually looks incredible. There was somebody who did the Game of Thrones opening sequence that they created with it, and obviously it's not identical. It's not going to be the same exactly, but it was pretty good. And somebody did a crime scene chase bank robbery video, which also was just mind-bogglingly impressive. So definitely go and check that out. On to my favorite AI thing thus far, Notebook LM. If you haven't heard of it, it's a research tool from Google where essentially you put in a bunch of different sources, and those sources could be YouTube videos, they could be text, they could be websites, they could be text that you give, just copy and paste. And what it'll do is it'll allow you to ask questions and discuss with Gemini, with an AI, about specifically your sources. So it essentially learns all of the data that you give it, and then you can query it and say, okay, tell me more about this update. Tell me more about how this works. What is this information? Find a trend in this data, kind of a thing. And it was pretty cool, and a lot of people were talking about it. And Spotify did their Spotify Wrapped with Notebook LM, because Notebook LM has a feature where you can create a podcast from the sources that you give it, and it'll actually have two AI voices, which they don't sound 100% human, but they're pretty good, and they do put in filler words such as uhs or ums a lot more than I would prefer, but it's the very, very beginning of this. And so Spotify used this at scale to roll out a a short podcast. I think it was 4 minutes for everybody, where it was customized to your individual listening. It would tell you about and discuss your listening habits of the past year, which I thought was super duper cool. And you can do that with all of your data. But I don't actually use that much because I create podcasts and obviously I have no problem talking about topics. I use it for research. And where it became really crazy, blown out of the water, powerful is when Google announced that it was becoming a Google Workspace product and there was a pro version of it, a pro version which was included with the Gemini license for Workspace. Now, you can buy licenses for this individually, and it is included in some of the Gemini licenses for Workspace. More information on their website about that. But what they did in the pro version is they gave you 5 times the source limits, which means it went from 50 to 300 source limits, which is just awesome and crazy because I was putting in a bunch of different links to YouTube videos and websites of a video that I was working on to get all of the data in there and synthesized it all into a script. And I was like 30 sources. I'm going to use that real quick, especially if I'm working on something or if I want to have, for example, all of the updates to Google Workspace throughout the year and put all the information in there. Unless I go work around it in a way that I am adding it all to a Google Doc and then have it update from that Google Doc, which would theoretically count as one source, it's not going to be. I'm going to blow through those sources very quickly, especially if I also want to put in all of my videos that I have made about each of those different things throughout the year so that I can parse it as the year goes on and say, okay, I announced this release or Google announced this release. When was it rolling out? Has it officially rolled out? Because Google has that information in their blog posts, which is also why I requested RSS feeds be an auto updating as well as spreadsheets auto updating source for Notebook LM. And I actually have been interacting with the VP at Google who is in charge of Notebook LM. And he has basically said, yeah, those are great ideas. And so hopefully we'll see those soon. But what this did is basically took it from 50 to 300 sources. And yeah, I'll probably get there, but it'll be much, much harder to break through 300 sources on that, and this just makes it so valuable. I'm in there every day now, posting information and querying it as I work on my videos, and it just became like my research assistant. And an interesting tangent off of that is with Google Gemini that they have a new deep research mode, and I really need them to combine deep research with Notebook LM because deep research is that agent style where it goes out and does things for you. Where I basically say put together research notes and sources on all of the updates to Chrome OS for the last year because I'm working on Chrome OS videos and I wanted to get all that data in one place and I was trying to see if it could do it for me. And it went out and it got a really decent, solid, I wouldn't say, finished product, but, none of this is a finished product. And so I was able to take that, export it to a Google Doc and then start working on my script from that data and all of the sources that were there. And I didn't have to go and do all that work myself. And that's really where the power of AI, no matter which company makes it that you're using, comes from, is the ability to do all of that on all of these different AI models and how they're integrated into the tools that you use, because it's going to take the busy work mostly out of our lives so that we're able to do the more focused work, which is what we've been doing for a long time. It's the calculator to accounting. A lot of people didn't want to have a calculator or spreadsheets, and now it's you can't do accounting without it or math in general without it. So that's my soapbox on on AI. Briefly there. But essentially, Notebook LM is now part of Workspace and is now a product. And I have a little bit more on that later because there is a Workspace. I'll just mention it again, a Workspace update for that. But I'll move on from that topic a little bit here and mention where was I on my notes here? Right. So legendary Apple reporter Mark Gurman has announced that Apple is finally completely redesigning the Magic Mouse. And yes, this does include moving the charging port. And yes, this is worthy of having its own topic heading in my show because this is very annoying for a lot of people. And yes, you could charge it for 5 minutes and get an hours of usage out of it. But the fact is that it dies and then you don't have a way to just instantly start working. With my MX Master 3 here, the battery is at 20%. It has warned me. And if it dies while I'm here, I'll just plug it in and there's a USB-C right in the front. I'll just keep on working and I don't have to worry about it. And the Apple one does not do that. So also it's not very ergonomic compared to, modern mice. So hopefully they'll get on the train there and really come out with something awesome. Whether or not this decision was made due to MKBHD, Marcus Brownlee, pestering Tim Cook about it remains to be seen. So I guess stay tuned for the marketing around that. I'm sure it's going to be glorious as Apple talks about how they completely reinvented the mouse. It's always very entertaining to see the interesting inventions of words and concepts that they use and materials in order to make something sound, incredible. Okay, on to something that I imagine a bunch of you have been waiting for. Ubiquiti announced a whole bunch of stuff today. Now, I was originally going to talk about some of the other stuff that Ubiquiti has announced, and I will do that now, and then I'll get to the new products and the live unboxings here. But Ubiquiti announced a professional integrators program, which gives you priority tier 2 support, annual training, and ambassador access. Although I'm not entirely sure what ambassador access means. I think it's somebody inside of Ubiquiti who can help you to plan through things, but I'll get more information on that and get back to you. This is an early access program. It's only available in the US, Canada, and Europe, and the UK. It does cost $999 yearly, so $1,000. It's meant for professionals who are installing this stuff for clients on a daily basis, and I know that TPC Technology signed up for that, I believe, and some other folks I heard that are going to be doing videos on that. I don't know if I'm going to be getting access to that or not. We'll see. But that's definitely an awesome asset to be able to get access to and work together with Ubiquiti when building out their systems. And they have a ton of products now and more announced every day, including today. And so it gets harder and harder to keep up with everything unless you're obsessive like me and do this constantly and just know all of their stuff. Another thing is that Ubiquiti finally announced and actually I think started shipping their racks, the Ubiquiti rack, which I will throw up on the screen here. This is the 12U rack cabinet. It's $599. It ships fully assembled, which is something that I went back and forth about because on one hand, thank God, it is such a pain in the ass to put together racks on site or before you're going to do an install. And some of them make sense, some of them don't. The instructions are never the same. And yeah, this ships all in one. On the other hand, having to have these in inventory will take up significantly much more space than sorry I got stuck there than a non-assembled rack will, especially when you get into the 42U, which also comes fully assembled and is $1,400 and I think costs like $400 in shipping. But if you are at the professional level and you're doing this on the regular, apparently that is normal pricing for this size of a rack, and these are just gorgeous. I love the white beautiful finish that's on them. Obviously, it's designed to be integrated well with all the Ubiquiti products. So definitely go and check that out. So you've got the two, it's really three sizes here. So you have the 42U, which is a full floor to ceiling rack. Then you have 12U, which is your normal size rack, and 12U Slim, which is meant for not servers, just meant for network equipment and stuff. Obviously, the side panels come off, it's wall mountable, etc. The full size 12U one rotates out from the wall, as you can see on the screen here if you're watching. But if you're listening, it's one of those types that rotates out to the right. I don't know if you can rotate it to the left. I don't know if you can rotate it to the right, like switch which side it rotates on. But if Ubiquiti sends it to me, then I will definitely be doing a review on that because those are awesome. And I am kind of running out of space in the mini rack. As I mentioned, I'm gonna have to start taking some stuff out over there. So what else do we have to talk about? All right, so that was the things that I had to talk about from Ubiquiti. So let's switch over to talking about the new Ubiquiti stuff that they came out with this morning. So Network 9.0 is currently out, has been released, and is an absolutely enormous update. They actually have a blog post. I haven't seen them do this in quite a long time, and I will put the blog post here up on the screen so you can all see it with me here. But detailing what goes into Network 9.0, and you can also see the hardware stuff that was announced today as well, which I'll show you some of that. And there's a couple of key highlights here. One is they completely redesigned how firewalls work in Ubiquiti. They now have what's called zone-based firewalls. They say that zone-based firewalls rules simplify network traffic management by grouping devices and services into zones. For example, internal, external, gateway, VPN, so that instead of juggling countless rules for individual VLANs or devices, you can define a handful of zones and then apply your policies at scale. So I'll be digging more into that. I don't know if I'm going to do a full dedicated video on that or not. I do want to do a whole getting started video, which would of course include this, but I guess we'll have to see how the workload continues from here on out. They also have Unify Cybersecure, which is powered by Proofpoint and takes your gateway's IDS/IPS to the next level with an extensive, continuously updated library of threat signatures. So if you are interested in that, there's more details on that. It is $100 a year for the regular version. There is an enterprise version which has far more signatures and is $500 a year. So definitely go and check that out in the link here, which I'll link at the end of the show in the show notes. Also announced is as part of 9.0 is SiteMagic SD-WAN. You can now scale up to 1,000 sites, which is just crazy awesome. License free, as they continue to remind us all, which is one of the reasons why I came to Ubiquiti in the first place. So really good stuff there. And then also for the first time ever, completely local Unify Network API. So that's going to be really helpful with digging into some of the home assistant stuff and automation and building out custom stuff for your other systems that you work with in your business and in the enterprise. So that's on the software side. Over on the hardware side, let's go to the website. We have two things that I can show you. I don't know where the Flex 2.5 gig switch was. I did get one. I know the box came in, and I, for the life of me, don't know what I did with it. I must have put it in a box somewhere else because I'm not allowed to show these things, even though I get them a little bit before they come out. So I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't show up, behind me. But the moment you've all been waiting for, I have two things to show you. I've got the U7 Pro, which I'll stop sharing so that you can see me more full screen here. Where did that go? Here we go. I'm over here. Okay, this is the U7 Pro, comes outdoor. U7 Pro outdoor. And the main difference here, let me just check my notes, but the main difference between this and the regular U7 outdoor, which I have a video on installing out in the wild, in the woods, in the mountains as well. The main difference is that this has a much higher dust rating. So it is much more weatherproof than the U7 outdoor, despite the fact that it's an outdoor. If you have an extreme environment, that's where you're going to want something like this or some of the enterprise gear. This has better weatherproofing and better mounting options. It has more spatial streams and more connected clients. So let's do the ASMR part real quick. Everybody's favorite part. Get the box open, and just real quick, you have the installation guide over there, and the door opens, and there it is. This is similar to the other one, a beefy boy. It's pretty big. I think I have it behind me. This is the regular U7 outdoor, and this is the U7 Pro outdoor. They look to be the same size. The difference gets into the mounting options on the back. You have a much more beefy door and mounting setup on the new one, on the Pro. Let me put that away so that I don't get confused between the two. You have a larger heatsink on the back. Show that off on camera. You got a hook here, and then can I get this out? Oh, I should probably unwrap it first. That would help. That one was really on there. Okay, and you've got a nice connected tab here to make sure that you don't lose the door, which I have definitely done. You have PoE plus in 2.5 gig. This is the U7 Pro outdoor, and that's what that looks like over there. And further in the box, just to go through things real quick, and this is my first time seeing it. I actually haven't looked at this at all because they only sent me one. So you've got your waveguide, beamforming waveguide. You've got some of the mounting rings there for putting it on a pole, as well as the antennas that can go on top. Now, the way that these work, if you're not familiar with the U7, oops, that was upside down, is that you have two options for antennas. You have a super antenna in the front, which will just blast Wi-Fi straight forward, or you have on top, included in the box are, oh, these are bigger than the other ones, I believe. Yes. You have, because these are actually new antennas, the old antennas that you got with the U7 outdoor were similar to the little bunny rabbit antennas that you got with the, what was it, the Flex HD, I believe, or one of the older ones. This is a very different antenna. This is straight. It doesn't change angles. It just goes straight in the top. You take out these little rubber grommets up here, and then you can do 360. Now, what I understand, and I have to double check and confirm this and test it, is that you can now do with the professional version of the U7 outdoor, you can do both sector antenna out of the front, the super antenna, as well as 360-degree Wi-Fi, which actually is pretty cool because that gives you incredible long-range coverage, but also 360-degree coverage around the device. And I think you have to be using 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi for that. But I will get the specific details on that. Don't quote me on any of this. Yes, I know it's recorded and live on several platforms, but that's the risk you take when you're going live. Now, you've got a backdoor cover with the water significantly beefier water grommet over there, as well as the better mounting option over here, and your other mounting hardware in here as well. And that's pretty much it for the box and for that. Again, that's the U7 Pro outdoor, not outdoor Pro. It's the U7 Pro outdoor. Now, the price on this is, one second, and I'll tell you, is $279, and it is available on January 10th. Now, I think that's actually a really good price for this. It's $200 for the U7 Outdoor, the standard one, and only $79 more for the much beefier, stronger, more powerful better outdoor rated Access Point Professional Edition. So well done, Ubiquiti, on that. Next up is the Pro HD 24, which I do have in the house, the PoE version, which is great because this is my new favorite switch. It's perfect. It's got everything. It's 24 ports. I'm sure at some point they'll make a 48 port one, as they always do. Let's get this open here. Oh my goodness, it is heavy. But essentially, it's got pretty much everything. Okay, it's got layer 3. It's got ether lighting. It's got 10 gigabit PoE++ ports. 22 of the ports are 2.5 gigabit Ethernet PoE++, and there are 4 10 gigabit SFP plus ports. You, of course, have ether lighting, as I mentioned, on all of them, which makes it super easy to identify when you're looking for what's plugged into what port and you aren't able to figure out from the cable because you have a million cables and you didn't label them properly when you installed it. Or, I mean, of course you did. Somebody else didn't label it properly when they installed it. You have the hardware kit, as always. When you open up these, which is your rack mounting, you've got your power cable and your rack mounting gear in here. That's usually relatively the same, so I'm not going to go through that. And I'm going to pull this out. It is heavy. Do you folks like that I'm doing this live? Let me know. I don't have to do this live. I did it once, and it was very, very popular, so I figured, hey, let's do it again. Ta-da! Make sure I have it upside down, not upside down. This is the new Pro HD 24 PoE, and I'm going to be putting it in the rack behind me, the mini test rack, later today, and playing around with it and testing it out. But I am very excited about this, and it's going to go really well with the rest of the 2.5 gig network that I'm building out here and powering for the studio network, for the office network. Essentially. Yeah, where's the, I talked about the pricing already, is $999 and is actually available right now. It is 600 watts power total, so that's a real beefy, powerful, amazing switch. So big fan of that. Of course, thank you to Ubiquiti for sending these over to me so that I don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on equipment to be able to talk about all of this for all of you. Okay, I do not have, like I said, the 2.5 gig PoE. Where the hell did it go? I'm gonna have to tear the place apart again looking for that. But the one thing that I'm excited about that switch is the other day when I was doing rewiring here in the studio is that I noticed there was a gaping hole in the 2.5 gig switch lineup. Is that you had the flex switch that was 2.5, but you didn't have a PoE version. And I've got a bunch of cameras connected, as well as as well as my computer, which has a 2.5 gig NIC in it. And I didn't have anything to plug it into. Now that I moved further away from the rack, yes, I could have cable running all that way, but I don't want to have lots of cables running across the floor. This place is disorganized enough as it is. I want to have one cable and then have a switch next to my desk over here, and which is conveniently next to where all my cables go into the ceiling, and have that go off to the cameras and the rest of the network. Now, of course, those don't have to be 2.5 gig because cameras don't use nearly that much. That being said, my desk does, and I do want to be able to have the maximum speed because I also just upgraded my internet line here at the studio to fiber 2.5 gigs. So, and that's a whole story in and of itself. Refer to previous episodes for what happened there and is still ongoing. Essentially, I got a router from Frontier for this, and the Ethernet ports on it are only capable of 1 gig, even though it's 2.5 gig service. And the only way to get the full speed out of it is through a Mocha adapter over coax, which is just, why? Why would you do that? Also means that I can't use their router. If I wanted to have multiple static IPs, which I do at some point here, how would that even work if I've only got it coming out through one connection? I could put it into a dumb switch, but is it going to be assigning over the Mocha adapter? I don't know. It's very bizarre, and like most like most business switches from enterprise companies, such as these ISPs, it's a whole lot of plastic and a whole lot of massive, huge device for a whole lot of nothing. So I don't know why they make them that way. I guess because that's the cheapest way for them to get them. And they're not really caring about having things being compact and built well because most people just throw it into a rack, which I do, but also, space, dude. Okay, moving on from all of that. Honey, 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 honey. Boy, do we have to talk about honey. If you are not familiar with honey, honey is a Chrome extension and a service where what they would do is it would live in your browser, and anytime you would go shopping, it had the miraculous, amazing money saving potential where it would go out and find over the internet, search for you coupons so that you can save money on every single purchase that you make. Great. Sounds wonderful. Amazing. They funded a bunch of creators from Mr. Beast to Linus Tech Tips and lots and lots of others, NKBHD as well. And they spent a ton of money marketing, and that's great. And I love when companies spend money on creators. The problem is, and I don't know if you are familiar with how creators like myself make a lot of our money off of this ecosystem, off of what we do, but it's usually through affiliate links and obviously sponsors. Partnerships. That's a new word. Sponsors and partnerships. Partnerships. I'm going to have to copyright that one. And essentially, if I put an Amazon link into my video, or I put a Ubiquiti link into my video, if it's got something at the end of it that has Tab Geeks or the channel name or something along those lines, that is an affiliate link. An affiliate link that tells the company, hey, I told you about this product and you purchased it from me by clicking on me. And so I should get a little reward for it. Little tiny percentage, some 5, some 6, some 10, who knows what. It's usually not, huge percentage unless you get into like VoIP contracts, which give like 50% one off or something like that. Crazy, bonuses, which is why they're so expensive. But that's a video topic for another time here. But essentially what Honey was doing, and there's a couple of things here at play, but what they were doing is when they would search that coupons, when they would search out coupons for you, when you're ready to make that purchase, they would actually strip out the affiliate information and put in their own. So it was a bait and switch, and they were taking a lot of money away from creators, even though they had funded a lot of creators. Everybody else they were taking money from, and when I say funded, I mean sponsored creators in order to talk about their product. But what they ended up doing is for everybody else, we were all losing commissions from our links that all of you wonderful people were clicking on to give us some, way to make money off of all of this. And a lot of folks specifically ask for affiliate links from their favorite creators in order to support them because you are getting this for free. All of that was going away when anybody was using Honey in order to purchase to make a purchase because they were supplementing and putting in their own affiliate links, and then all of those dollars were going straight to Honey. That's number one. Number two, apparently, on the other side, they were going to companies and saying, hey, work with us, pay us money, partner with us, and we will let you have the privilege of deciding which coupons show up on your page. So if a company has a 20% coupon that they did for a sale and they only send it to a few of their, top users or whatever, and that coupon gets out, then all of a sudden a lot of people are getting 20% off. And, that happens. And that's a risk you take. And if companies want to, they can limit it in other ways and whatnot. But then they'll also have maybe 5%, which is used for, first-time users or things like that. And then they'll have 2% for, whatever it is, just to make people feel better or something. And if you do that, then if the company partnered with Honey, they could say, okay, Honey, only show 2%. Only give those coupons. Don't give the 5% or the 10% because obviously they don't, it's in a company's best interest to make as much money as possible off of their purchases. Honestly, I think we should just set prices and call it a day. And, prices are what they cost. And, you set your markup and that's it. Stop with these games. But this is what companies do, and this is how business works. And Honey basically completely corrupted and turn the whole thing on its head by getting both sides of the game. And so now they're being sued in a class action lawsuit, and they lost about 3 million users as of when I made these notes. And that was in like less than a week of the news breaking. It's probably more than that, and will continue to go down from there. Now, who owns Honey? A company called PayPal, who also owns eBay. How they're still alive, I'm not entirely sure. I guess eBay is making enough money, or maybe it was all just a float because of Honey, and this will be the end of PayPal. Who knows? But this is still a developing story. The lawsuit obviously is going to open up a whole lot of very interesting emails, I imagine, as part of the discovery. So stay tuned for that, because oh boy, this is going to be quite a journey and quite an interesting story, and a case study in how not to piss off all of your users and all of the creators that talked about you, that you worked with and promoted, etc. Okay, a couple of other things going on is I have the new DJI Mic Mini, and it is tiny, teeny, 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 tiny. Here is, and as you've seen in all of the rest of my videos, the regular DJI mic, and it's got the clip just like anything else, and they can clip onto your shirt, or has the magnet. And then they went and they announced the Mini, which is, as the name states, mini, but it is really tiny. In fact, it's so tiny I forgot I was wearing it. Okay, this is the teeny, teeny, tiny. I don't know my nose here. You can see how big it is. Clip-on, magnetic, same thing. It's smaller than my finger, basically, almost smaller than my thumb. Sits on your shirt, and it's significantly smaller than the, whoops, those magnets are strong, than the previous generation. So you can see the two of them side by side there. And of course, no, it's not 100% as powerful, but I've had no complaints. I absolutely love these. I got the full kit. Whoops. Charging kit, which is the case is the charger, and then you've got the receiver for the computer, as well as your phone or whatever else you want, and directly connects to the DJI Pocket 3, which is what I use to film all of my videos when I'm not doing live videos like this. And I absolutely love it. If you are in the market for a new microphone, don't get anything else. Just get the DJI Mic Mini. It's cheaper than the DJI mic and does basically everything, especially if you're just starting out, and doesn't, sure, it doesn't have, I think, float capabilities, so it doesn't record another secondary or tertiary. I don't know. I don't remember the difference. But for most people that are not doing this at a professional level, you're not going to need any of that until you get really, really into the weeds. I don't use any of that for my videos. I guess I live somewhat on the edge, but also I don't want to pay for all of those features because I don't really use them. And this, I'm very, very impressed with that. So big fan of that, and wanted to show that off for all of you. Okay, this is going to be my longest show ever, because that's what happens when you do things live. Okay, Samsung is getting back into the virtual reality game, the VR, XR, etc. The Vision Pro clone is what 9 to 5 Mac is calling it here. But essentially, Samsung, as I reported from Google I/O this past May, is working with Google on what they are calling Android XR, which is their version of Thomas says, love seeing this live. Thank you. Appreciate that you're live. And I think this is my most concurrent viewers live ever. So appreciate everybody tuning in here for all of this. And if you're listening after the fact, you can come and join us live, or I appreciate you listening, after the fact as well. All right. So Samsung, as I was saying, has worked with Google, or is working with Google on a headset that's going to be running Google's new VR, AR, XR, which is the term that encompasses all of it, headset, which is going to hopefully rival Apple's Vision Pro and make the world of virtual and augmented reality a whole lot easier and more, I guess, ubiquitous, to borrow the term there. And essentially is not these glasses. These are the X-Real, not the ones, I haven't gotten those yet, or the One Pros, which I hope to get. These are the X-Real Airs. I think so. And this is the Air 2 Pro. That's what these are. And I've showed these off in a previous episode. They don't have any OS, any software running on these. It's just hardware. You plug it in. It shows the screen of whatever you plug into it up on there. These glasses are going to be different. This is similar to the Vision Pro. This is similar to what you would expect from any of the Oculus headsets, or whatever they call them these days, from Meta, aka Facebook. And it does look very similar, although, more googly-fied and whatnot. Very similar to the Vision Pro. And I'm very excited for this, because it's, Google has been trying to get their foot in the door with this. They obviously made a huge swing back in, I don't know, what was it, 2010 or something, with the Google Glass headsets, of which I had one. Unfortunately, I didn't hold on to it because it was in a company that I was working on, and they owned it, and whatever, I wasn't able to keep it. I think I want to just buy one at some point, just so I have it for, the knickknack shelf behind me. And because it was such an essential part of history and a colossal failure, which really it shouldn't have been, because it was never actually a product. It was a dev kit, but whatever. That's been rehashed and hashed a million times by everyone else, so I won't go into that. But essentially, this is going to be the new future of the the XR space, and Android and Google are very powerful at that. And working together with Samsung on this is going to make a huge splash. I know that there's a Samsung Unpacked event that is scheduled. I don't know that anything is going to be revealed about this at CES. I am rather confident that we'll see some more information on this at Unpacked and likely at Google I/O in May. No, it hasn't been announced, obviously, I/O, but that's when it is every year, so it's probably going to be there as well. This looks great. Honestly, some people have started working on it, and apparently, it is not only does it look great, it works quite great. So hopefully, the Apple Vision Pro will get some serious competition on it, and we'll be able to get some real progress moving in this industry, which is what we need. I am actually working on a is augmented reality or is XR ready for work video featuring these glasses as well as the new One Pros, not the Pros, the new ones, because I don't think the Pros are coming out until, like, I don't know, April or something, as well as a Vision Pro, because as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, every day for the next 3 weeks, I am accompanying my daughter. She just turned 2. She's physical therapy for some motor skill delays that she has. So we're working to correct those. And I'll be working off of my laptop and won't have my beautiful 48-inch ultra wide Samsung monitor and my 4K monitor and all the other screens that I've got around me here. I'll be working on my 14-inch laptop. And so the question is XR for work ready for prime time? That's the video that I'm working on here and trying to solve. And I'll be doing that sitting in the waiting room because they don't want me to interact with the therapy, because then my baby, she just wants to she wants to come to me and whatnot instead of actually doing the work. And so they want parents to essentially go away and hide, but still have to be there for obvious reasons. So I'll be working on that video. Let me know if you have questions on that. Let's move on from this topic because I have rambled about it enough. Speaking of Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips, I mentioned him in the whole honey thing there. He has been one of the driving forces in technology creators in the space since pretty much the beginning. I think he's one of the OGs, and I think that really only probably iJustine has been around longer than him. She is the OG, pretty much. And he built an empire. He has 100 employees, and they have Linus Tech Tips. And if you haven't seen any of their videos, then you are either just getting started and you are 12, or just fresh out of school and breaking into IT, or whenever you are in life breaking into IT. There's no way you haven't seen their stuff. They have, like, I don't know, 15 channels. They've finally scaled it back. They have less channels now. Their production is great. Their editing is great. And Linus went on a YouTube channel called Colin and Samir, who I've talked about on the show in the past. I've taken their course, Colin and Samir's course. They are the creators, right? So they talk about what it takes to succeed in the creator economy as a creator, how this business works, how to, how to go from zero to Mr. Beast, basically. And this was an over 2 hour long interview and is essentially a college level course in how to build a tech focused creator business. And so if you're interested in the business side of what I do and what other creators do, and if you are a creator or want to become a creator, definitely do not miss this episode. I'll leave a link to it in the show notes. It's called An Unfiltered Conversation with Linus Tech Tips, and it goes into the weeds, and it's great. There was drama, there was suspense, there was controversy. It's got everything. It's all the good stuff. So moving on from that, I'll leave the link. Definitely go watch it. Also, the Treasury Department got hacked over the holiday season because, well, there was a workstation that got breached because Beyond Trust lost control of a security key. And this is unfortunate because there have been a number of major incidents that have been happening, which have all been through Chinese state actors. So hopefully, whoa, I don't know if you heard that very loud motorcycle that just drove by. That was very loud and distracting. Sorry about that. Hopefully, we're taking steps to secure things further, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's the third party who gets hit, and that's what happened here. Based on available indicators, the incident has been attributed to a Chinese state-sponsored Advanced Persistent Threat Actor, also known as APT. That's according to the Assistant Secretary for Management at the U.S. Treasury. There's no evidence indicating the threat actor has continued access to Treasury systems or information. So that's good. They locked them out. Hopefully, we can all learn from that and what do you call it, and have more secure systems and stop getting hacked by everybody, which is nearly impossible. All right, this show is very, very long. Obviously, I'm not going into any of the CES stuff from it. Let's go through real quick the Google Workspace updates. Google Docs is finally getting, for the first time in as long as I can remember, new templates, 40 of them, 40 new templates for the first time in forever in creating new documents, and they actually look really, really nice. And whoops, that's not the link to. I was about to share the link to the what do you call it, the Workspace update, but instead it's the support article that talks about it. So I'll have to correct that in the show notes. But essentially, if you've used Google Docs in the last 20 years, you know that you have a bunch of different templates, whether you're using it for personal or for business, and you can go in there and it'll set up your document for you to get you started. And these are new designs, new updates, lots of new types of capabilities in there that are meant for the modern business. So definitely go and check that out, because one thing we need is a way to get started faster and not have to do a lot of this manual work, which is why I was talking about all the AI stuff earlier. Mentioning the AI stuff, Google Docs is also getting Help Me Create in Gemini, which is where you can, instead of just clicking on one of the 40 new templates, you can instead type in, similar to how you do in vids, the ability to, or rather you type in what you want to create, the type of document you want to create, and it can actually pull in data from your drive. So if you are saying, take all of the notes from this project that I have been working on and the schedule and put it into a briefing document, it will parse all of that data and pull it in and create the doc for you. And all you have to go through and do is probably just tweak some things and make sure it got everything correct, and read it over a couple times and whatnot before you send it off. But that should really help with creating a lot of these documents that take a lot of time and are very important, but you've already done most of the work. You just need it to be synthesized into a document. So that'll be very helpful there. Google Drive video uploads finally is getting instant video playback. Probably they're utilizing or copying the YouTube infrastructure, because YouTube is able to stream very, very quickly after you upload, and you are able to have a much better video playback experience in Google Drive. Moving on, Gemini has achieved SOC 1 compliance, which, as I talk about in my video with Christian Newman going through the year in review of Google Workspace in 2024, Google has been aggressively pursuing compliance certifications across the board and rolled out, I think, 40 some odd different ones that they were able to achieve, and SOC 1 is the latest. There's also an open beta for migrating messages from Microsoft Teams to Google Chat, which you should definitely do if you use Google Workspace, because why in the hell are you using Teams? Sorry, I hate Teams. I can't stand it. I don't know if you like Teams. Some people, there's definitely people, I guess, out there who like Teams. I'm not one of them, especially if you're already in the Google environment. You should be using Google Chat, because it gets better and better on the daily. Speaking of getting better, a feature that they announced for Google Chat at Google Next back in April finally just rolled out at the end of the year. You're going to be able to do inline translations of messages in Google Chat. So if somebody types to you in Chinese or some other language around the world, it's going to be able to automatically translate those words or their message to you. And if it screws that up, you can, yes, click to see the original if you do actually speak a bit of their language and are able to figure out what they meant to say instead of what the translation said. But in general, I find these things work pretty well. Google Drive on Android, has a document scanner, and that's getting a big improvement with automated enhancements and so on. So make sure you've got everything updated over on the Android side in order to get that. And then also in Google Drive, you are going to be able to specifically focus Gemini conversations when you're using the side panel in Drive to a specific folder. So if you're working on a folder and you want to say, hey, Gemini, go and find the information from this project of this folder, you won't have to have it searching through your whole drive. That'll just search through the folder that you're working in. And that is a very, very welcome update. And looking forward to playing around with that. That's pretty much it, I think. I got everything there. Help me create in docs. Yeah, side panel, translate messages, drive document scanner, open beta. Yeah, that's all of the updates. Wow, over an hour I have been talking here. This is my longest show ever. Thank you for sticking with me. I will probably have another long show next week. This has been an insane tech week, the amount of stuff that's coming out of CES. So I don't know if I'm just going to make a dedicated video or if I'll just put it all into next week's live show. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the show on the regular for all of you every single week here. It is going to be a little bit delayed for the next couple of weeks because, as I mentioned, I'm going to be going to therapy, or my daughter's going to therapy. I'm taking her for physical therapy for the next couple of weeks. So it'll be delayed to probably around 10:30, maybe a little couple minutes after, like it was today, just as I get back, depending on LA traffic. And now I'm going to rack and install these Ubiquiti products that they sent over for me to review for all of you, so that I can quickly film these videos and get these out, so that we can go more in depth than what I just showed you over here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please let me know in the show notes, in the comments, wherever you're listening, what you like from these episodes. If there are ways I can improve, I am obviously always trying to improve, and I do read and reply to each of the comments. So remember, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, please the algorithm, etc. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Tech for Work.